What's good, everybody? So today I do want to go over a cryptocurrency that I personally invested into in the very beginning and was able to make the most gains and most return in such a short amount of time, and even with a small investment, and that is Shiba Inu coin. Now, before I continue, make sure you like the video, comment, and subscribe if you are not. Every video that I post has an opportunity and chance to win a giveaway, whether it is a free month of our auto trader or Forex auto trader, our Forex signals, or a $50 gift card or Venmo Cash App sent directly to you, whatever your choice is, I got you. Now, I'm going to break this down in its entirety. I'm only using price action. That's exactly how I personally trade. That's been the best approach for myself. And my trade style is very simple, nothing complex, and very easy for everybody to understand. Now, the information and the knowledge that you get here can also be implemented directly into the Forex markets, the futures markets, whatever you personally trade in. That information can be easily translated or into that market as well. So make sure that if you don't quite understand something in this video, if there's something you need help with, type it out in the comments. I'll definitely take a look at it. In the next video, I'll be sure to implement and answer that question in a very knowledgeable way that you can retain that knowledge and implement that into your own individual trading. Now, I'm going to break this down, and you're going to see a very familiar pattern with how I break the markets down, how I mark up charts, and how I go about seeing things and getting my projections. Now, I'm always going to use technical analysis. I'm not going to use anything complicated, but what we are going to do is just take a simple look at this without marking anything up. If we look left to get right, we can see the very beginning of this market. It started, if I'm correct, in 2021, right? This was the very beginning, and we had such a strong impulsive move to the upside. Now, that's showing us that this market does have some type of volatility. It does have a community rallying right behind it to make sure that if in the future this does reach a specific price, which I do believe a lot of individuals, a lot of traders are projecting this to be at least meet a penny within the next 5 to 10 years. If you look over here to the price to the right, it's not even close to that. So we are able to get into this cryptocurrency almost in the very beginning, and that's really good. That's great because you don't have to invest 65,000 or whatever the price of crypto or Bitcoin right now, just to get a whole Bitcoin. With this, even a $50 or $100 investment could give you a strong return on investment. And this is a long-term investment, I would say. The majority of all cryptos I would suggest to hold on to for a long period of time, just more along the lines like a position trade or a long-term investment, if you will. It's kind of like the S&P 500. Every year is 10%, 8 to 10%. I do believe that we're going to see the same thing in the crypto space, and getting in early on such a cheap crypto, I was going to say stock, a cheap crypto here it's great, right? Because you're going to be able to get in from the very beginning and catch the entire move, and even with a small investment, again, your returns will be great. So I'm going to break this down in technical analysis, just identifying where I do believe is going to be the best investment ranges. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Now, again, we had our sudden surge to the upside, and with cryptocurrency, or this coin in particular, this was more of a meme coin. It was more of a joke, and then it started becoming a lot more serious, especially when all the eyes started being on this specific coin itself. I think within a 3 to 4 week time span, it had a 20 to 30,000% gain just off of this move alone. And we kind of had the same idea when we look over here to our right. We can see how this market here had an immediate shot to the upside. And this was earlier this year. This was actually in February. And it's coming right back down. We had a corrective move, a retracement, if you will. And I am on the weekly time frame. I'm always going to be on a higher time frame, making sure that I can see the overall market direction, the whole trend, the bigger picture. And what I can see is a few things, right? Now, I'm not going to mark this up too crazy. Again, I like simplicity when I'm trading. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to replay this. I'm going to go ahead and just take this away for a second. Now, the reason why I'm taking that away is because if you see here, there wasn't that much volatility. But what we do understand is volatility comes when you have either a pattern being made or being made and or broken, and the same thing with the level of structure. A lot of volatility or a lot of eyes start jumping onto a market, onto a chart, when you start seeing some type of action, right? This is price action trading. We identify the most relevant level of price, and then we identify the actions that happen at these price levels. So I'm just drawing this initial trend line right here, and this will be considered a wedge pattern. It's a very simple concept, right? We have our structural low, that support low. So I'm just going to draw this as our support, because the reason why that's important is because we couldn't break below this price, and this is exactly where it first started. When this market was created, you can see the price being all the way down here, and then that sudden surge. But for some reason, it came right back down to that same price, that same support. The reason why that's important is because not just all markets, but I do think that the majority of all cryptocurrencies really respect price more than anything. Yes, patterns are very much relevant. Yes, patterns help. But when we identify, again, price and the actions that proceed within them, you're going to get a stronger idea and a great projection. So if I go ahead and press play, before I even press play, we got to mark up this structure here. So this was a level of structure, and there's always going to be multiple levels of structure when you're trading. It's not just going to be one, but I'm highlighting this one because for me, this was the most relevant price points. You can see that there's a lot of action here. We had a level of resistance here. Oop, did not mean to move that. Let's put that right back. So we did have a level of structure here. We did have resistance, and you can see how that was immediately broken. But when we came crashing back down from that price, we respected this support. But it just started just chopping around and consolidating around this area. So for me, this is the most relevant level of resistance, which will end up as a level of support. Because if I go ahead and press play, you can see how this market started to play out. Not only did it break that initial channel wall or the wedge wall or trend line, it also broke above the level of structure. Now, when you have a structure point or a trend line, it's never going to just be broken with a weak move. There's no such thing as a break of structure or a break of a trend line with a weak move. It has to be something strong, significant, something with conviction. And we can see that just with that one candlestick alone. And this is a weekly candle, so for that entire week, it just shot up. If I'm correct, that was actually within like 2 days that this market just decided that it wanted to bring in the buyers and give us a real strong idea of what this market intends on wanting to do. So if I go ahead and continue to press play, you can see exactly what happened. It just shot straight up to the upside, and we did actually meet a level of structure, some resistance roughly around here. And I'm not going to draw, I'll just draw it for educational purposes. I just don't like my zones ever being that big. That's kind of ridiculous. But what we can see is just this level of structure. I'm cheating here a little bit because we can see where the market actually ended up. It could not break above that level of structure, this price. Now for me, I'm not going to leave that marked up. It's just a visual for you guys to understand why this market decided to sell. If we look left to get right, we can see, right, this market sold off from here, and it came right back to this level of structure. Not the strongest, not the best. And this market hasn't been around that long for it to have, the highest or the most high probable structure points, or a lot of structure for that matter. This has just really had a few points, these three main ones. So when we look at this, this is just a break of structure and obviously a break of your trend line. So we're just going to put break. And not only did it break that level, we also had a retest of that point. I'm going to go ahead and just bring that back. So we had a simple break and a retest. Now, I know that's very simple. I know that's like day one basic stuff where everybody's like, break, retest, got it. But we have to use the clues that the market is leaving behind. And if that's the clue that we are getting, we have to use it. So this is our retest of market structure. Now, the reason why that's important is because you're never just going to get a move out of nowhere. If you do have a move out of nowhere, it's basically because it's breaking out of that structure point and trying to reach a new level, low or high, in this case high, or a fundamental geopolitical factor, such as, news events. Now, with cryptocurrency, I'm not too sure if that was related to a news event. I highly doubt it. There has been tons of news throughout the years with cryptocurrencies, and they just kind of just still stood where they were. So right now, what this is showing us that buyers are still very much in this market, and everyone is taking a look at this to reinvest into. Now, I know a lot of individuals are saying, well, why would you reinvest into something that's selling while it's pushing lower? Because the biggest thing, the common sense is you never want to buy at a high. You always want to buy at the next level low. And I do believe we are at those areas now, or at least one of them, right? So I'm just going to get rid of a few things, keep our chart as clean as possible. Get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that, and I'll get rid of the trend line as well. So again, I'll get rid of this up here because that's no longer needed, at least for this type of analysis. So I'm looking at these two ranges. Now, I'm also going to add in the fact that we have our fibs. Now, a Fibonacci retracement tool is something that you would implement in the idea of structure, or with structure as well. You need more confluence. You can't just sit back and say, well, this is the most relevant price point, it's time to invest. There has to be more probabilities. The analogy I personally like to use is, it's like a martial artist, right? When you have one piece of wood, yeah, got that, right? Chop right through it. That's easy. But if you now add 4 pieces of wood, a cinder block on top, it's going to be a lot more difficult to just break right through that. That's the same thing, the same concept when we look at this right here. Now, in case anybody's not familiar with the Fibonacci retracement tool, I'm going to illustrate how you would properly use that in this situation. So I'm going to take my fib ratio, or my fib tool rather, Let me move this over. And I'm going to go from the swing low. The reason why I'm going from the swing low is because this is the start of that entire impulsive move, and we got to measure that entire move so that way we get the correct measurement when we have our correction. So I'm going to go from swing low and we're going to go to the swing high. Now, when using your Fibonacci tool, you're not going to use the body of the candle. No. That'll give you an inaccurate measurement. We must use the actual wick of that move. So you can see right here, I'm just putting that Fibonacci at the wick high of that of this market. Now I'm just going to cheat a little bit because to make my structure a little bit more perfect. We're cheating because we see where the market is. But not only do we have that price point, what used to be a level of resistance is now a level of support. Now at that level of support, we also have the 78.6 Fibonacci retracement ratio. Now I always get the question of, Jay, what's the best ratio to always trade off of? There is no best ratio. You have to use this in conjunction with other confluence. So again, we have the break of structure, we have the retest of structure, we also have the 78.6 Fibonacci retracement ratio being met there as well. The one thing I'm always going to also identify is this market has now, and I know it's not the highest points, but if we look at this from previous points, this is now a higher high and a higher low, which could determine and give us the idea that buyers are still very much relevant in this market. And I didn't have a trend line on this before, but I'm actually going to add that now. And that actually is a very valid trend line. You can see through the 3 touches of it itself. Anytime you have a trend line, it must be, or it's only confirmed when you have 3 touches of the trend line itself. So this would be considered our base, the start of it. This would be considered our secondary, self-explanatory, the second touch. And then this would be considered your trigger. Your trigger, meaning you pull the trigger on a possible trade, right? So we have 3 forms of confluence here. We have our structure, we have our Fibonacci retracement ratio, and now we also have our trend line. Those 3 things are giving us a higher probability, or the I would say the idea, right, that buyers may be stepping in at this price level. So the reason why that's important is because if in fact they do, and we invest in this specific, or at this specific price, and we can hold on to that for the next 5-10 years, we are making a great return. That is a great move. And again, you don't have to have a lot of money to invest into this cryptocurrency or into this market itself. As you see over here to the right-hand side, it's not even close to being a penny's worth yet. So this is a cryptocurrency that has always been on my radar, and it's more so on my radar now because of exactly this reason. We had such a strong push to the upside, and it immediately came back down to a very relevant price point, something very important. Now, if this is broken, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to reverse and come all the way back down, all the way down here. But what it does give us is another opportunity for a better investment range. So this would be our best buy area. So for me, these are the 2 best and most relevant areas of price for us to look to start investing into at least Shiba Inu coin. Now, I'm not going to scale down to a smaller time frame, not yet at least. I would like to see how this develops around this price and see what happens around here. I don't suggest, and this is not financial advice or telling you exactly what to do, but I do suggest that we give it a little bit of time. Let it leave more clues. Let it paint a bigger picture. Because right now, again, being on the weekly time frame, we have the structure, we have the fib, we have the trend line. And if we go ahead and look at this even on the weekly, this could end up being a double bottom. I'll say possible double bottom. And the reason why I say possible is because, again, we got to let this market develop a little bit more, show us what it really wants to do. And why is this just like, there we go. I don't know why that's just like stuck on my thing, on my chart. There we go. Now, weird. But I say possible double bottom because obviously, for one, it's not completed. In order for a double bottom to be completed, it must break this structural high. I'll get rid of the fibs real quick. Must break these highs in order for us to identify that, for one, the structure is in fact important and buyers are stepping in, and this would be the change of direction that we would need, and also a strong confirmation for a really good investment. So I would say let this develop a little bit more, but we are nearing the fact that this may be one of the best cryptocurrencies for us to personally invest into very soon, in my opinion. I know in the previous video, if you haven't taken a look at that, make sure you go take a look at my Bitcoin projection as well. Everything that I said on that video is pretty much coming to fruition. And if that is working, Bitcoin itself, I would say the OG of cryptocurrencies, when that moves, every other crypto follows. And right now, Bitcoin is starting to show us a little bit more bullish momentum. If that's the case, this is going to skyrocket. This is going to give us one of the best returns on our investment if, in fact, we do identify or invest at least at these 2 price ranges. Again, I do believe with the technical analysis, the structure, the confluence that we have, at least at this area, that this is going to give us a great possible entry or at least investment range. But obviously, if we can crash right back down to these lows, without a doubt, I would suggest, not just for myself, but for anybody into the crypto space, this will be an even better area for investment. Now, again, just like I said before, if you're not a part of the Discord, make sure you are, so that way you can stay updated with any and all information, and also any videos that I put out for updates and projections on the market. I will be making another video on not just Bitcoin, but Shiba Inu, with, again, another projection. And if I do believe it's time to invest, I will let everybody know in the Discord as well. But this is right here, my projection on Shiba Inu. I do think, again, for anybody who's investing into crypto, if you're not even invested, if you never invested and you're looking for your first true crypto investment, this is going to be your best one. It's a cheap coin to get into. The volatility is there. It's backed by a strong community of people who want to see this succeed. Again, this started off as a meme. It started off as a joke. It's not a joke anymore. This paid a lot of people out. I was definitely one of them. I was able to, and again, that when I say I was one of them, I did not believe or expect any of this. That move just happened out of nowhere. You can't predict something like that. But I had a pretty nice amount in that in my investment, and I was able to catch at least half of that move to the upside. I ain't gonna lie, I didn't catch the entire move. I'll actually show you here with my little replay button. I got out in literally this candle. So didn't catch the entire move, but I was able to get a really good investment. If I would have held on to that, that would have been great. But the reason why it's important that we identify this again is because if it happened before, it's going to happen again. And if it happened just recently, right, it's probably setting up for its next big move. So for me, I do believe that if you are going to be investing into anything, definitely take a look at Shiba Inu. Make sure that you're putting some type of investment on the side, or at least investing a little bit into this every week or every so often, whenever you can. Hold on to not just this, but any crypto that you're invested into for the next 5 years. See what happens. I do believe, just like the S&P 500, every year it's up 8 to 10%. That will be demolished, really destroyed in the cryptocurrency market, or crypto space rather, because the volatility is much larger. Also, not to get on the fundamental aspect, but now cryptocurrency, or just Bitcoin in general, is being more accepted through not just government, but from banks. Before it wasn't accepted, before it was not even looked at, but now they are looking at cryptocurrency as an actual market to not just trade, but an actual currency, real money. Before, they just considered it fake. Now it's very much real. So again, these would be my best areas for initial investments. The prices are here on the right hand side. I wouldn't really worry about the prices, to be honest. I would just worry more along the lines of a range. You're not going to get the perfect price, a perfect entry. Again, I'm not day trading this. I'm just investing into my crypto wallets when the time is right, and I do think the time is right, or getting right. Very soon, I do believe that these cryptocurrencies will give us the biggest ROI. So with that being said, hopefully that gives you some insight on the idea of where this may be projected to go, and also where this may end up being the best area for us to invest into. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me in our Discord and any social media that you have as well, that I have linked and posted in the description below. With that being said, I'll see you guys on the next one.